since Mo told me that you were the spokesperson for the hospital. I have asked this question to Peter a couple of times, I'm kind of haven't got an answer. The $2 million that the district is giving y'all for the emergency room, do y'all have an intention of paying that $2 million back, or is it a gift from the hospital district?
I think we're working on the indigent care agreement with the hospital district now.
So
We're working on a prospective agreement, so it's not finished.
okay, well, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking the CR, which is going to treat our patients in Stowell, if it's a gift or if the hospital intends to pay it back.
Yeah, I already told you.
Well, you didn't, but you're just saying you're working on an indigent care program, okay? And is this the reason why the hospital is becoming so excited about working out a deal with the Winnie Stowell EMS, so they'll bring all their patients to the hospital's ER when it's built?
I'm sorry, ask that one again?
I said, you know, the hospital and the district are very aggressively courting the Winnie Stowell EMS service with associate agreements and buying supplies and all that kind of stuff. Is that kind of like a bribe to get them to bring their patients to the new ER? Because this has never happened before. And the timing is kind of coincidental.
I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. Certainly it's not a bribe, but I'm not familiar with the EMS situation.
Oh, well, it's been on the agenda for the last couple of months.
That's all right.
Good looking thing.
Huh?
You have to get back to Bill
There you go.
now.
Yeah, I talked to you.
Okay, can I have a card and I can email you these questions and you can?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be happy to meet you.
Okay.
Is Jeff coming?
So they saw his car out there already.
Hubert, since it looks like you have a 2-inch stack of paper there in front of you, could you keep your comments down to at least 30 minutes?
I'm not saying much.
Go on, Mrs.
I've heard that story before too.
Really not.
Brenda's had 2 surgeries on her eyes first, and she's good. I had one on my proboscis too.
Why?
You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't gone off yet.
Texture and temperature.
How's everybody here? Yeah, any public comment?
Nobody signed up, I believe, if this is the right one. Yep, nobody signed up.
Yeah, thank you. Wade. Review and approve the minutes of the previous meetings of May 24th, regular meeting, and June 1st, special meeting.
On the regular minutes on page, 9, at the top, kind of the finish of the paragraph before, there's a blank there for the revenues, and we just got those numbers for last month, and I'll fill those in. There's 47,000 dollars.
4, review and approve financial reports, payment invoice, accounts report, and amended budget if necessary.
Can I address two things in there too?
Yes.
We got the invoice from Durbin and Company for the 15 and 16 audits, and that's in there to pay. It is the amount of this invoice is $69,682.80. We had previously paid $21,500. And talking to Tommy, the auditor, audits for something like this should cost somewhere between $17,000 and $20,000. So for 2 years worth, it should be about $40,000. So we're at $90,000 because this is our first year with these nursing homes. And so it's my recommendation to pay this, but we also have talked to LTC Group, and they've acknowledged that they need to pay what it should have cost. They've agreed to pay the excess amount, so the however much more it costs us than what it should have cost, or in this case,
Why did it cost?
because we had to it was a process of gathering all the information, getting it organized and the right accrued interest for the nursing homes. And so.
This is the audit that we had begged for that one nursing home.
You know, this is the audit with other people that I'm going to suggest we talk to as the Genesis Nursing Home. I looked at our management agreement, and there's nothing in the management agreement that says that they shouldn't, that we bear full responsibility for 100% of the audit. And in this case, a large part of the problem, the excess billables for the auditor in this, we're trying to get Genesis to get us the information. So, but for 2016, we have that information, and we have it already, and so it's not. I mean, the 2016 audit information, well, according to Tommy, can be done by the end of August. Another invoice in here is an invoice for Hush Blackwell. And last month we paid $286. That was because whenever you prepare an audit, you have to get letters from the lawyers that do work for you each year that state, you know, what if there's any other kind of exposure out there. And so that was for $286, and then they have sent us another invoice for 2 hours to complete the letter. So the first invoice was to research what all they had outstanding, and then the second 2 hours was to do the letter to get it to the auditor, which is, I mean, that's a reasonable amount of time to do it. We have to do it for the audit.
So a question for David on the financials. I think that something needs to be moved or added to the current liabilities, the amounts owed to the nursing homes, because assets showing $6 million.
You mean,
What should it be?
at this point, 1.8,
Okay.
and we've got it in, we attempted to, I mean, I can address that, we attempted to estimate what the reconciliation payment was gonna be back in November, and we're pretty close. I think 100,000, ended up being $50,000 difference. And at the same time, I added to the existing accrued amount a percentage of that was going to take into account. But we added both those numbers in, but the base number was already inflated, and since to me, it looked high even back then, I said I would rather not be too optimistic at all. I would rather leave that number alone because I was still fairly new coming in, not knowing what the history was behind it. And as it ends up, I believe that when we were estimating what the real accrual number should be for LTC and the manager payments, I believe that we were further along the payment schedule than I calculated.
But it should be about 2 million, right?
Yes, 1.8, 2 million, yeah,
For what?
for owing back out of the reconciliation payment. Got it right, I mean, I got it broke down by who it's to.
You mean the transactions by account? Is that what you're trying?
Which one are you looking at? Because I've
So
got.
I'm looking at the balance sheet first. And
Yeah, okay.
that needs to be adjusted based on the management payments, meaning we owe money out of the $6 million of assets.
Yeah, okay. That right here is, okay. That, Sherry does that report, and that, the liability right there does not include that, because that's the bills that are going out today. At 113, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah,
Okay. When that goes out, those are vendors, and so we were actually talking about that today. What we're gonna do is set up a vendor to run the payment through. That way, it'll be in there as it's invoiced
as a liability.
as a liability, and then it won't be paid, of course, until the money starts going out. But what you're talking about, though, is the existing money now. It would be 1.8 million. And yeah, it should be on there, and I've got it on the other report. But that's something we were trying to figure the mechanics of. If it was a case of we had known the 1.8 exact, I would have had no problem putting it on there. But to put it on as a vendor means it's going to be put on again, and I need to take the old one off. And I want to do that now that I believe we're pretty well settled on it. It can happen, but it's 1.8.
The other thing, how do we account for the settlement payment that we made to the Booker Baylor Hospital, so that for our share of for this hospital district share of the settlement? It's like the 68,000.
I counted that as a reduction of revenue on the
Okay.
money coming in. Because if they would have taken care of that in-house, they would have subtracted it.
They being the state.
Yeah.
Meaning the payment would have been less than 6 million.
Yeah, it would have been less, so I said, let's just make that happen. Here's the comparison of budget for year-to-date, and also this month since the last meeting's numbers.
While he's doing that, the other thing, money that we had owed to us was from Genesis for the HUD transaction. And I sent Daryl the letter we did, requesting payment. I think it was like $50,000 or $60,000. Daryl was a lawyer for HUD, but as it turns out, he went to go work in-house with some nursing home company, so Genesis never got the letter. So I talked to this guy named Michael Burke this week. We exchanged emails, and we're sending him a 1099 so that they can pay us.
You mean a W-9?
A W-9, yeah.
I just passed them that way.
budget, at this point, is in good shape. The items that are in excess right now, are, for one, is the audit, and that number's gonna be, potentially reimbursed to some extent. And then the other amount is the, fair market appraisal that was paid last month, $23,000, and that needs to be addressed. I would say that the district is still well within budget as a total, but that particular line item will need to be addressed. And I would say that the best time to do it would be whenever we're also doing the audit adjustment number that come in and the legal fees.
So Hubert, on the professional fees for the audit, we're going to go ahead and pay that and ask
Yeah,
for
maybe you get the auditor.
LTC to reimburse?
Right, so here in the next month, for June, July 12th, at some point, we're gonna have to get with LTC to figure out, what is the impact 3 payment, IGT is gonna be made. So we're having a better picture of our overall income and revenue from the budget, so we can, like last month's meeting, we didn't know whether they were gonna do impact 3 or not.
Right.
So now we know that you gotta make an IGT for impact 3 by July 12th. So that's the conversation I would recommend us having with LTC at the time. They've already agreed to pay, so I don't think that's gonna be a big issue. So we gotta figure out what the LTC fees are gonna be for impact 3 and quit here coming up pretty quick.
So we would make the payment
And get,
and then come up with our financial projections and then talk with LTC
Right.
about a new contract.
right.
More questions on number 4? Or input?
I make a motion that we approve the financial report.
Motion made by Sharon, second by Raoul, to approve the financial report. All in favor? Nay, ayes have it. What about the rest of number 4, payment invoices and account?
We'll add that to it. Okay. I make a motion that we approve the financial report, payment of invoices, receivable account reports, and amended budget.
Not to amend, we're not amending the budget.
Oh, we're not amending the budget.
Motion made by Sharon, second by Raoul, favor? Nays, ayes have it. Number 5, discuss and take action on committee reports, finance committee. Anything?
Nothing at this time.
On the hospital ER project,
I think there's an agenda item on it.
yeah, I'm gonna take a look too.
There is.
We're gonna defer to the,
Wait, no, hold on, there's not an agenda item.
There's not.
I thought they was coming with their
proposal?
proposal. and
Well,
contract.
we agreed to it last month. We agreed to the architect's proposal, and all we're waiting on Bob to do is give us the contract.
Contract, and we haven't received that.
No, I sent it back to him, and then the architect made a couple changes. And one of the changes was that we're gonna charge like 1.02% for any travel or something like that on top of the actual cost. And so we told Bob, you know, yeah, that's fine. And so Bob was having to, in real life, Bob was like, had a flat tire somewhere today, you know, out in the middle of nowhere with a trailer. And so he's trying to get back to the office to get it to us in time, and I don't think he got it to us.
Right,
I
so
haven't
the
seen
only
it
update,
either.
right,
The
the only
last-
update is that we're moving forward with the architecture.
Yeah.
And we're gonna finalize the agreement, and then the next steps would be to have them out here to design.
Yeah, the architects wanted to come and look at the overall project first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they was gonna schedule their, sit-down meetings with the hospital and the employees. So that's still, I think they're shooting for July 6th and 7th, I think are those dates,
It's one of the, it's one of
for
the
the-
board.
for them to come and meet with the hospital
So
and ourselves.
if you can find out like which people they wanna meet, I'll make
Yeah,
sure that they're
yes,
available.
yes, they're gonna provide that
Okay,
prior to, so we'll know.
great.
The next one is Indigent Healthcare Committee.
Yeah, we met with Yonda, Monday or Tuesday, and we discussed, Beaumont, MRI for a contract for the indigent for MRIs only. And the hospital, I think, can provide ultrasounds and CAT scans. But the only thing was the contract for the MRI. And we sent the contract to Hubert, she sent it to look over to see if everything looked right. Cause you know how
So
hard
then I
your
talked-
talk is.
So Yanni and I talked, and I said, well, I thought that the hospital has a, don't y'all have an MRI thing?
Y'all have an MRI.
Yeah, and so Sherry, Yanni sent over the MRI deal and something with Galveston, a contract with Galveston. We're talking about like medically necessary inpatient and outpatient treatment. And,
I'll get more in detail with that whenever I do my report.
okay, we want to talk about this during.
wanna talk about it now?
Yeah, okay, and the other contract we discussed was a contract with the university, not the hospital, and Galveston. We discussed short term, just where one patient goes versus having a full contract where, and the full contract was cheaper than the
So,
One
okay,
time
so
only.
whenever I talk to UTMB, and then Hubert also mentioned that that contract is the same one that was presented to you guys back in 2015. And it's exactly the same, the only difference is that the rates are lower because of Medicaid, because those have lowered, and I have the differences on that.
Did you wanna talk about it though when you,
Oh, did you, or do you guys,
or do y'all wanna talk about it now, or?
Right now it's appropriate.
Oh,
Okay.
But let's make sure we're all on the same page of what we're even talking about. What we're talking about is, providing the indigent with more services. So the medically necessary inpatient, outpatient services that can't be taken care of here at the hospital. And so the most frequent one I think about is like a diabetic who needs like a foot removed. And so they've reached out for MRIs with Beaumont MRI, but that might not be necessary because we need to get with Rice on Hospital, who has MRI capabilities, to find out whether or not they can do it and whether or not that covered under our indigent agreement. Have you already had an MRI request?
Yes, I have to.
One, you've had two?
I have to.
Okay, and that's one thing. And then the other thing is the contract with, there's a contract with, well, let me back up. At the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, when we amended the budget for the indigent care agreement, our indigent care policy, we stated in the thing was that if there was somebody that needed health care outside of the hospital
By being referred by one of the physicians here.
as being medically necessary. And then we set up a procedure for that, to find them the appropriate healthcare provider and to negotiate a price for that with the people. That's where last I heard about it. Then I heard that there was this meeting and Yanni's talked to UTMB, which is a great idea because UTMB can do it all there at a very cheap price. And so what I suggested to Yanni was that we kind of talk about it at this meeting to come up with a plan. We need to review the UTMB. Is the contract the same?
Yes, on here, this is
So
what she
I
sent
sent
me.
you a contract from UTMB.
Yes, and right now that's why I ran out. UTMB was calling me and they just sent me the news with all the updated information of ours. So you're now on it. It's not like official or anything, but it's what it would be if we agreed. So it's more accurate. And if you look at the papers that I gave you, the ones that's written below, it's what it used to be. So
the amount, the percentage listed below what's on this contract.
yeah,
So what's in the contract for what it is now?
it's the 39, yeah. And this is just the basic of the rates. And like she just sent it right now, so I didn't have time to print the actual contract of what it would look like.
Now, is this the one where, just one time, like, for each patient?
No, that one was the one-time agreement, and that one is 10% higher. So if we get the contract, it'll be actually cheaper to do it with the actual contract. And also, this is new to them, apparently. Their physical year is September to August. So if we agree to the contract, our renewal would be in August. And in August, if we decide to continue with the contract and with their services, we will do the renewal, and that renewal will last for 2 more years. We won't need to sign anything, it's just letting them know that we will continue sending our clients, the hospital's clients to them if it's necessary.
And the negotiated rate is the percentage based on the billable charges.
Yes, and
On
everything.
these.
But they also realize that, like, the patient sent to them that, would have to go over like if the patient's already spent $10,000 of the $30,000 amount,
Yeah,
that they can only do.
Will they ask that before the patient goes?
whenever the clinic, since this is just an example, let's say someone needs a thyroid scan. They will send me all of the information that they have because I have a paper signed with them saying that it is okay for me to receive this, the client. They will send me their information, I get it authorized, if yes, no. And whenever I talk to UTMB, I let them know this is how much we can spend. If it goes beyond, the patient also knows, or the client also knows that whatever is being spent after they meet their cap will be their responsibility. Does that make sense? Am I explaining it right?
Well,
Would we-
so what we need to do is go back and look at the minutes from whenever we approve that and kind of plug in UTMB, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
as the healthcare provider, And, because we had a process, and the process was to notify the healthcare committee, the indigent care committee, because we're also having, you have, how many people are on the thing?
As of today, we have 64.
So if there's 64 people at $30,000 a piece, that's like, what was that, 1.8 million bucks?
Yeah.
And so, and so my question to Yanni was, what is there something driving this right now? And as it turns out, we have had we've had 10
About
10 referrals from the hospital as being medically necessary, since which is a lot. So in the past, we had like 10 in 2 years. So since we've had 10 in 2 months. And so that kind of tells me we probably need to just make sure we work with the hospital to make sure everybody's on the same page of what is medically necessary. And that's kind of a pretty vague definition.
Well,
So,
and I also asked John, I said, like, if they were having some type of surgery and they had complications during that surgery, the doctor can't say, hey, wait,
Yeah,
we
you
gotta
have to-
sew him back up because
yeah,
he's over his.
yeah.
Well, you TMB's willing to work with the cap.
Well, we don't,
I mean,
look, the way the statute reads about the cap is that's our obligation. Now, if somebody is, that's up to y'all to, fund something like that for somebody, yeah.
Usually, like I said, those bigger hospitals,
It's kind of
they
more
have
us in the
something
front.
magical that they can get help for indigent people. I don't care if they're in their county
It's called
or,
uncompensated care. It's uncompensated care. That's what they get.
but they must get a lot more.
Yeah, it's a bigger
They
state.
can, yeah. So,
Because-
I guess,
I've seen it too many times.
to me, what, in thinking about this, since we have had this big spike all of a sudden of medically necessary, that's great. If they're we need to look at what's medically necessary. We ought to meet with, to me, we ought to meet with somebody at the hospital and the doctors that are making the prescriptions to make sure we're all on the same page. And then from there, once we do that, then we get the contract done.
What's an example? What would be an example of something that was done?
A person came the other day, I think, to one of the doctors and evidently gangrene was set in or something.
Yeah, that's
to
really
his
medically
leg,
necessary.
Right.
and he needed his leg
Okay.
chopped off.
And because we don't have a procedure, we don't do that here.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's the hospital district's position to start dictating
No.
what's medically
That's not.
necessary or not. That's obviously a doctor's choice. But we just kind of need to make sure we're all on the same page as far as, like, is the flu medically necessary? Or, like,
I know you were asking for that example, thyroid, I forgot the term of the diagnosis. But if someone needs a thyroid scan, they can't do it here. And that thyroid scan was one of my first referrals, needing to go to UPMB to get it done.
so the 10 people that have come to you, like, what have you done with them?
As far as the scan, I mean, he's the only one that I've kind of tried to work with. The other ones I really don't know. First we need to do this. I mean, we need something official saying we will help. So,
Well, we have that. We have something official saying we'll help. We have our policy.
right, and with him,
And we
we
have-
did a one-time agreement with him. But
So
as
this is,
the the rates, those are the
Right,
rates.
these are the rates, but what are they asking specifically for? Us to sign a contract? Oh, they have a contract.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, it's
have
a
you
signing.
seen it yet?
Well, I had one from 2015 that I sent her to ask if
Yeah.
it's the same one.
It is the same one.
What is the downside of the contract? Anything? Other than the individual cases? I mean, really there is.
So it's my understanding that like for this person with the thyroid, they were sent to UTMB. And since it was a one-time deal, the rates are different. Whereas if you enter into the interlocal agreement with them as they are kind of the preferred provider for the hospital district for this type of stuff, then you get cheaper rates. It would be cheaper for the hospital district to enter into an interlocal agreement with UTMB than one offer.
Yeah, because UTMB is a learning hospital, and so their rates are cheaper there. You know,
And not only that, but it also will give, it'll be a longer process for the client. So if we do the one-time agreement process for every client, we would have to do this all over again
Right.
for every client that comes in. So we would have to do, make the client wait until we can get it reviewed, get all the papers signed. But here, with the contract, they bring me everything, we look at it, make sure that they're under their cap, and they can go.
Okay, so next meeting, there'll be an agenda item where we will review.
Yeah, so here's what I would recommend we do. I recommend we enter into the agreement, and then, but we also need to get, Yanni needs to get with the hospital, or whoever the person is going over what's medically necessary in the administration at the hospital. Let's get on the same page of, the scope of the treatment, right? And then, so that way, and then internally, we need to look at what the board approved 2 months ago to make sure
Right.
that process is viable, right? And then we'll go from there.
So for
well,
right now,
actually though, we need to decide on what we're gonna do and tell the hospital that, hey, we've made a contract with UTMB, this is where the patients will be going.
Right.
If it's medically necessary.
Right, but in the last, when we approved it at the board meeting, the process called for, if the hospital said something was medically necessary, to bring that back to Yanni, and then let Yanni find a provider, and then discuss that with the indigent care committee, so that y'all could make sure y'all knew where we were as far as money was concerned, and then make the arrangements with the provider. So what this contract does is, we already have an arrangement with the provider. We just need to establish a process with the hospital, so the hospital notifies her, and then Yanni notifies y'all give it a thumbs up, and we go.
okay, so for right
It's just
now,
making it easier for
yeah.
her.
Right, so she's not gonna have to go search and find a provider, we already have one.
Besides that, a lot of doctors don't accept. She might
It might be hard for her
call
to find a
Dr.
provider.
A and Dr. A say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't accept this. And then she goes to Dr. B and
Would it require any kind of approval from the board, or you only handle 90%?
I personally would love a second signature, or yeah.
It's gonna go to the committee.
Yeah, so like we had discussed, if it's something like a scan, or if it's something that I know it's like a smaller, smaller dollars, and it's not like a surgery, or it's not something that's then I would just run it through them, and then if they agree, cool. But if it's something more serious, something that's gonna actually cost, then I would want a second signature. But as far as right now, all I need to do is just get with the hospital.
right? And we need to make sure everybody's on the same,
Okay.
I mean, obviously if a doctor's saying something's medically necessary, it's medically necessary. But for our purposes, we need to have some understanding of what that is, right? So,
Okay, so UTMB tomorrow, they wanted to know how our meeting, how we went.
So
We're
what
still-
did
it's
she tell
still
them is what
pending?
she's asking?
well, no, I would just say it's gonna be on the agenda, the contract's gonna be on the agenda for the next month.
Okay,
And they wanna approve, but
okay.
it's not on the agenda.
So for right now, are we doing a one-time agreement?
What do you have, the 5 orders,
I have several.
so?
Yeah, that's, I mean, you can't,
So if,
we are gonna have to have,
So,
logistically
So
speaking,
we can
we,
do the one-time agreement is what she's
Well-
asking. She asked,
Okay,
how
so-
many patients do you
well,
have?
are they asking that they want to abide by this as long as we're working in good faith to negotiate
Right.
the contract? What's wrong, there's nothing wrong.
that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. How urgent, I mean, do you have something urgent, get it done, yeah?
So for us though, for a timing perspective, y'all's meeting and your conference is July 19th through the 24th. Which is during the time that you normally have a meeting.
We usually
No,
have that.
the normal meeting would be on the 19th. And so, let's see, that would be the day that y'all leave for that conference. So we'll either have to have a meeting before or after your conference for a regular meeting. I would maybe suggest before, because, July 12th is the day according to the, MPAP, emails that we're getting that we would have to make an IGT for MPAP 3.
So are you suggesting we have a meeting on July 12th?
No, I'm suggesting that you're gonna have to have a meeting before July 12th.
So Tuesday, July 11th.
No, I would think it maybe need to be before that too.
So Wednesday the
Put it on the
5th?
agenda for them, it's fine.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, if I were you, I would tell them that we're gonna have a special meeting
okay.
before
that's
July
special,
12th,
okay.
and then it'll be on the agenda for special meeting.
Okay, and then, okay. If it's something that needs to be, that it needs to be done like yesterday, then I will do the one-time agreement. Right? But if it's something that.
Yeah, you have authority, right, to go find a provider for
Right.
these people,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
And you just need to run that through them. So
Right.
you already have that authority. All we're talking about doing is entering into basically a long-term contract.
right, yeah. Okay,
First, you know.
okay, I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing for.
Just didn't want to do something wrong.
Yeah, and as far as the MRIs, would I need to get with you guys?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll,
Where's your, imaging center? I knew y'all had one, but I thought it was
It's,
right there where the old Jefferson, where the old,
It's right next to the Checkers on 11th Street.
yeah, that's where I was telling you about during that meeting.
mhm.
Yeah, but you said, no, that's Bowman MRI, or you thought that.
Where is it?
Right next to the Checkers on 11th Street.
Across the street from Samuel's, isn't it?
Right behind, the gateway's right behind it, right?
Well, Bowman, you know,
Yeah.
we have Bowman MRIs in front of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it, but yeah. Okay.
Is that for the, is that all y'all got for the energy committee? How about the personnel committee? How about the personnel committee? We're gonna fall right back into it.
Oh. We got you.
We did. We did, Yanni is finding a little time for us. And we asked if she thought that, maybe she should go part-time. We'll roll it around, see what you think.
She's wanting to cut her hours back to 8 to 2.
8 to 2 every day.
Yeah.
really has
Right.
nobody coming in after two.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, Johnny?
Yes.
Finally, time.
And then on the days that on the day we have the hospital board meeting, she'd be here all day so she could help.
Get everything ready for it.
Yeah,
And if it redeveloped into a full-time job, she said she'd do that.
or if she felt like she didn't want to. She said that she would agree for us to find someone and she would train them with what she did.
I'm being nice. No, yeah,
If it
definitely.
says that now, I mean.
Yeah.
So what you're saying really is that you need to go part-time.
Yes.
What does Sherry say?
We talked to Sherry, in fact, we called Sherry in there, and I talked to her a while ago, and she was fine with it. She said she had some questions when we talked to Yonda, and she said give her a day, because she needed to talk to David. And she did, and she was satisfied with what he had to say. And he suggested because she was worried about the PTO time and other time. And David said, if she went and she still had 36 hours, that she could get, what is that time called? Not comp time.
Paid time off. Paid time off.
Yeah, but since she's going to 30, it'll be 30 if she works.
6 hours, 5 days a week.
Right, 6 hours, 5 days a week.
So the personnel policy, as we look at this, I didn't know anything about this, but David and I talked about this. David and I were looking at the personnel policy as far as paid time off and comp time and all that. And the reason why, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at it, what it says in regard to if somebody's a part-time employee, what the benefits are. Does that make sense? So,
But there's usually hours. I mean, if she's 30 hours, what they call it in different places in part-time, it's called, something silly.
well,
Like
our policy,
PRN.
no, it's called paid time off, PTO. And so our,
PRN,
what are you talking about, whether she's part-time?
They have 3 different scales for part-time.
Right, we have
They have
2.
a part-timer, and then they have one that works, like if you call me and say I need you to work today.
Right. And that,
And
y'all have 2, so a
A
part-time,
part-timer has
and
to
then-
work at least 36 hours.
and then there's also a temporary part-time. So, like, remember we had a file clerk that helped?
Yeah.
And so the policy was written such that the temporary, somebody came in to help file or do something like that, then they don't get any benefits. Whereas if there's somebody, in Yanni's situation, the policy does provide that they get certain benefits. I just have to go look and see
Right,
what
and
those certain.
Yanni has agreed that she didn't need the benefit, she
Right.
just wanted the,
Yeah, the benefits being, like you would get holidays, like official
Yeah.
paid holidays. I'm just not sure what it says as far as if you're able to
she
accrue
doesn't
time.
want nothing.
Okay.
I just wanna get paid for the hours that I work.
But if you qualify for the
Right, I mean, that'd be
benefits,
nice,
you
but
will.
if it just can't happen, it's not an issue.
Yeah, because we
Are you
did
okay?
talk, usually it's, you have to work 36 hours to get, even part-time, to get.
Right, and that's what I was, whenever I had first started.
Yeah, we need to go look at the policy.
It's fine.
I'm just giving you more for here. Hey, I don't either.
As long as it works out,
No problem, services.
Did you do like some kind of letter or request?
I didn't know, I mean, I was not ready
She was running
So I didn't know.
us until,
and figure out
Yeah.
what it is that I needed to do.
Well, I would just, for your file, if I would do maybe just an email or
Okay.
something, so they can put it in the file.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Hospital liaison, coach, you got anything? Or John, anything else, or is that all? Sorry.
Yeah.
That's all the personnel. Sorry.
So the committee is recommending that she be allowed to work part-time?
right.
Hospital liaison, coach, nothing? Moving to number 6, district administrator.
She just reminded, Sherry's out there trying to finish getting packets together.
Can we go to Summits and then come back to it?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, energy care director, Johnny, you got a report?
Yes, yes I do. My reports should be in your packets. Wait, do you want?
Yes, ma'am, please, yeah, make sure.
I should, yeah.
Thank you.
So, I have one more.
Pretty sure.
Okay. Alright. So like always, I start with my dashboard report, and gives you an overall look of the expenses, I guess, of Medicaid rates, based off of Medicaid rates. The total for hospital services and prescription is $30,580.13. And at the bottom, you can see the work that's been done in May. And also, for the month of May, we had 60 clients, and as of today, we have 64. And for the hospital, the services that they provide for our indigent, we still see that they go to the clinic. They're not, their first choice isn't the ER. So that's good.
What are you looking at for that?
So, no, this is the third, yeah. So, yeah, that's and what was sent to me by Ms. Karen was $60,432, and based off of Medicaid rates, that went down to $24,777.12.
So somebody went to the ER?
That's 24.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 24.
I wonder if they can make this report to where it like puts a number, like, so right here where you have 20 invoices to the clinic, like if you could put 20 on there, 6, because I've always wondered, yeah, well, because I've always thought, well, why are these people not going to the clinic? It's not that they're not going to the clinic, it's just whenever they go to the ER, it's more expensive.
Yes, exactly.
So somebody's like had a $10,000 bill at the ER.
Yeah, it's, yeah. Does anyone have any questions on those 2 reports? Okay, so another thing that I wanted to mention was that the road. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Why do most of them say May, but then when you go to the next page, I see like November 16th?
Oh, yeah.
Why do
Those
they-
are, we go back, there could be 2 reasons. One, we go back 30 months back when someone applies. So let's say, they came to me in January, and let's say they had an outstanding bill in November, then we'll,
Then we'll go back.
yeah, they go back. So, that's what that is. Or if, for whatever reason, the hospital ended up billing the client, you know, not knowing that they were on there for whatever reason, they'll bring me the bill, yeah, and then I'll just give it to the hospital to take care of that.
Just so y'all know, from doing the minutes, the amount for May is probably 3 times what it usually is. And I also asked Yanni, I was like, whenever we had the conversation about the contracts, I said, I wanted to make sure that she was keeping, obviously, we wanted to make sure we know where people stand as far as bumping up against that $30,000 number. And so I asked maybe that,
Has anybody ever hit it
No,
in the past?
not while I've been here, they haven't. But I think now that we will be, I guess, expanding the services, maybe we'll be close.
Right.
It's just depending on what it is that they need, for sure.
and where all this kind of comes back to is we still need to amend the policy to discuss, you know, to do the stuff about employment and consider whether or not to reduce the indigent rate from 125% probably down to 50%. And that's kind of based on if you have 100 people at $2,500 a person. So, you know, all these numbers kind of start. We need to make sure where we are on all the numbers,
Yeah, and
so y'all can set the policy.
I'm trying to work on a report where it shows, not names or anything, but gives like the client number and shows, I guess, like the amounts that they have spent.
What their balance is.
Yeah, what their balance is. But because of the batch dates, not everybody started on one date. So it's different. I'm trying to work on that so I can present that to you guys.
Yeah, and we talked about that too, so I'm like, well, it shouldn't be that hard because why don't we just run a report from January 1st, like a year-to-date report? But the problem is like, say somebody started in November, you see what I'm saying, like, everybody's not on the same schedule.
Right. Yeah, so somebody started in November and I'm running the report from January to June. November and December is gonna be left out. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, is how to get all that in there.
So do we count, the question is do we count the $30,000 based on the year that the
Yeah.
person, on the date that the person starts, or do we come up with a start date of January 1st?
No, we can't do that because if, let's say we do, again, if they started in June.
I know,
Yeah. Yeah, because if they started in November and we start in January, then they're gonna start all over again when someone has already been there. Yeah, so we have to start the year by when they have applied or get on.
So we're trying to figure out how to compare apples to apples.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why can't you guys just prorate it?
If it was straight across,
When they come in March, they would have 9 out of 12 months of the 30,000.
yeah, but I think with the uptick of other procedures, it's not gonna be easy.
Okay, so, does anybody else have any questions? Okay,
It's nice to see that we have people who use emergency room.
Yeah.
Are avoiding the clinic sometimes.
oh,
I mean,
that
it'd be
I
nice if they
know
spent
of,
the money wisely.
yeah, I mean, that I know of, no, they usually go to the clinic first, because whenever they apply, I try to make sure that I let them know, you know, it's best if you go to the clinic first. And if they send you to the ER for whatever reason, well, then that's different. But if the clinic is available, go to the clinic. And then if it's an emergency, then go to the emergency.
But do the people at the hospital know?
The emergency room at the hospital is very good about if someone comes in, because I've seen it, and it can be, and the clinic's open, they'll say, you know, we do have a clinic that's open, and
Right.
they have a choice.
Yeah, like on Saturdays, I mean, a lot of clinics are not open on Saturdays, but here they are. So, they are pretty good
I
about
mean,
taking people
they're
over.
given a choice, I mean, it's not,
Right.
because they have to see the emergency room, but I wished an emergency room would say, hey, there's a clinic right down the hall if you wanna save a few bucks.
So, the Rose is coming back, November 1st, and I put together a flyer. I get the free one.
What was the turnout last?
It was really good. Sorry. Oh, no, not that one. Okay, good, thank you. It was really good. To say that I had to be out for maternity leave, it went pretty good. And I came back and had a month to kind of put everything together. So it turned out pretty good. So far it's going really good to say that I'm not out, I'm here. So it's going good. This is what it'll look like with color.
When is it?
November 1st is the day that they're coming. So tomorrow.
November 1st?
November 1st. So tomorrow I will start posting out, if businesses let me, I'll do it there. I would like, if possible.
Yeah, we'd be more than happy, I mean, we have some, you know, every once in a while you have a hole somewhere you need to fill.
Okay,
And so we'd be more than happy to donate
please.
some advertising
Yes, thank you very much.
in either paper, either Hometown Press or Neighborhood Net.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I have to run, I say thank you to everybody for allowing me to attend. Thank you.
We ought to check on and see about it. We need to drop that those billboards and phone numbers on them, call it.
Like what the hospital has?
Yeah, we want a billboard. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
How much is one of those billboards now? 800 a year? No, they were
That's
talking,
for-
no, 800. I was just curious.
Yeah.
They're not that expensive.
Right, I thought I remember. If
I mean,
we
I
did
would-
it for
yeah.
a month or 2 months or whatever.
I
Yeah.
think you can do it for 3 months, and then if they don't have anybody to take over the billboard, then you can just keep going for free.
Okay. Where would, who would I go?
There's phone numbers on the bottom of those
Oh,
billboards.
okay.
Lamar Advertising.
Yeah.
Who is
That's
it?
it.
Lamar
Is there a
Advertising is, they're one of the big ones.
They're just anything on I-10, I think they're referring to, not specific.
I put that together. Is it ugly?
Should be free.
That's all.
Yeah, that's all for me.
Next is general counsel, you got anything to
Nothing except for we're probably gonna have to have a special meeting to discuss the, impact 3. We got the state gave us a month this time instead of 4 days to get IGPs together. And the IGP amount they said we were gonna have to pay, make was like $9 million for 5 months, which makes no sense because all the figures and forecasts everybody we've done shows the IGT should be about $6 million. So it's about $3 million more than what we had anticipated. So there's that issue that has to be resolved. The state still doesn't have approval from the federal government that the federal government will approve the program. So even if you make an IGT right now, we don't really have much information on if the program is going to be approved or when the money would come back to you. So there's still that question out there. But the changes the state did make in the program are what the federal government asked them to do the first time the federal government did that. And then the other big issue is we don't know when, if we made an IGT right now, when the money would come back. And so that's all pretty important information. So there's imagine the first week of July will be kind of busy with that. The general thought is, though, that the reason why the state gave a month on the IGT was because the state probably anticipates getting approval from the federal government in the meantime. That's happening, and also now the nursing homes didn't get they called it the granny tax passed. The reason why the state went their pool for QIP went from 640 million to 400 million was because the state was anticipating to use that $40 million to help these nursing homes with this other program that was going to be funded through this granny tax. But since that didn't pass, now the nursing homes are all on board to go and get that extra $240 million back. So our share of whatever the QIP fund would be distributed based on 640 million instead of 400 million. So they're working pretty hard on that too.
Okay. That's it in a nutshell. Move on to the LTC report.
You'll just receive that. I just received it. All I can say is coinciding with this whole Impact 3 exercise, most likely will be talks with LTC about their fees for Impact 3 equipment. Their value in this whole process right now is their efforts to get Impact 3 and the settlement funds in and getting this additional funding for equip. On the settlement, all of the money has been received except for United Healthcare's money, which is coming in at the end of this month.
Anybody have any questions on LTC report? Moving on to the hospital, Mo, Chris, you got anything? No. Not at this time. Moving on to number 7. Discuss and take action, if necessary, on receiving the East Chambers School District's report on the status of the interlocal agreement to provide healthcare related services to the students of the district and renew the interlocal agreement with the school district.
Can I address this?
Yes, sir.
Our contract with the school district expires in August for the funding that we provide the school for the health care for the kids. And it continues year to year, but I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention to make sure y'all still wanted to do it, which I recommend. And the school has provided us with the various statistics for this past school year for the number of kids who were helped as a result of our money. And they've been helped through scoliosis screenings, lice screenings. Huh?
I thought they didn't do my screen. The reason why I bring that up is because
Counseling.
I had 3 kids in elementary there, and somebody made a comment about they can't unless,
They have it.
yeah, basically.
Well, they have,
I know that doesn't really matter here, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, we were basically told there's no lice screening at the school.
I think the lice screening means once a child is diagnosed with lice in the class.
Right, so when I was growing up, we had random
Yeah.
lice screenings.
Right.
Now they don't do it,
Yeah,
that's all.
I've been the victim of that myself. It's not fun. So during the past school year, looks like they had 93 claims for that student accident insurance that we were providing. They have paid, helped pay for the school nurse. And then they, have it broken down from the total students served. First, the total students on free lunch served. And the reason why the free lunch number is important is because in order to qualify for free lunch, you have to be at 125% poverty level. So those kids that are getting helped by the hospital district's funds are kids who live in households where they would qualify to be indigent per our program. So in addition to helping the 60 people a month, we're also helping these kids on the,
So what exactly are they?
Well, we help them with scoliosis screenings, we pay for lice screenings, we pay for the nurse, but what's also interesting, if you look at the therapists, we also we pay for this counselor at school, the psychological counselor, who helped 35 kids. The summer counseling, they still have not determined that. We pay for occupational therapy for 14 kids who were indigent.
But there's no numbers on the slides, other than the number of students.
You're talking about
Yeah,
financial
I guess my
numbers?
question is we give them a certain amount of money.
$15,000 a month.
Right, for the year. And so they're coming back to negotiate a contract with us
No.
to do it again?
Well, our agreement with the school,
Yeah.
it goes year to year,
Okay.
okay? The purpose of this is to make sure y'all still want to continue that program.
Okay.
So what do we pay total a year?
$180,000.
Motion that we continue to help.
So they didn't ask for more money or less money or anything? They just said, let's keep doing it?
Right. So if we didn't bring it to your attention, it would just keep going, but we want to bring it to your attention and make sure y'all do that.
So we don't have to vote on it?
No, I would vote.
I felt like we already approved it when we approved the budget, but now this is separate.
Well, it's budgeted for it. You did budget for it, but, they could decide they don't want to continue the agreement. And the way the agreement's written is given the timing of the school budget, when they start developing their budget,
Their fiscal year.
right, we kind of need to let them know so that they can budget for it. So I think you could do it that way. What you're saying is it's make it implied, but I think it's better to, have something that you can rely on.
Okay. I make a motion that we renew the interlocal agreement to provide health care related services to the students of the district and renewing the interlock agreement with the school district, East Chambers Independent School District.
Motion made by Sharon to renew the interlocal
Second.
agreement. Second by Raul, all in favor? Any nays? Ayes have it.
What over the new buildings?
That's the elementary school.
Grades 3 through 5 right there?
3, 4, 5. They're gonna split, there's not gonna be an intermediate anymore, okay, they're going back to the old way. They're going, K through 5 is gonna be elementary, but that's gonna be split into 2 campuses. K through 2 in the old stuff, 3, 4, 5 in the new building, and then junior high is gonna be 6, 7, 8, like it used to be. There won't be any more 5th and 6th being intermediate. So they're kind of restructuring all their,
Because of the amount of students in their influx.
they're bumping 1,500 students in that school district now.
So which course will qualify for them?
1,200.
15.
They're at 62% district-wide for free and reduced. So I don't know where you're getting your 1,200.
Well, that's what he's told us was like 1,100.
Yeah, maybe some, but I mean, the dietitian reported 62% at the last school board meeting.
Still much.
A bunch.
800, well, actually that would make sense because I saw $811 figure. 811 somewhere.
819.
Yeah.
19 gives that. Okay, moving to number 8. Discuss and take action necessary on entering into a business associate agreement with the Winnie Stowell EMS.
This was on the agenda for last month, and let me refresh your memory of why this came about. This initially came about because the EMS came to us, Mr. Fitzgerald, and asked us for assistance with helping the indigent, you know, for them transporting the indigent. Well, that kind of drug on without much happening for about a year. And then a couple months ago, Yanni got an invoice from EMS to pay, you know, one of our clients got an invoice, like $2,500. And the client brought it to us. So we brought it to the EMS. Right about that same time, EMS let go the manager, got a new manager involved. So then we gave the new manager, we need a business associate agreement. We amended our policy to provide that we would pay for emergency services. So, as an attempt to help the EMS. So then we provided EMS with this BAA agreement, which it just says if we're going to, we're going to enter, it's basically a confidentiality agreement with the EMS so that they keep our HIPAA information confidential. So, and the reason why we needed to do that was so we can give them a list of our clients so they would know who they are. So, evidently this was discussed last night at the EMS, and the board, I wasn't there, I was just kind of hearing about it, voted that the EMS could enter into a business associate agreement with us, but they didn't want the EMS to send invoices to the hospital district because the hospital district, if the hospital district paid EMS for the indigent, then the EMS board felt like, or voted, that would be double dipping, which is strange to me because that's completely wrong. Because what we're doing is nothing different than an insurance company that EMS would be billing. So if EMS was billing an insurance company for a patient, the insurance company would pay them, right? So we're nothing more than an insurance company. I think it's kind of disingenuous.
We're for indigent care.
Right, we're an insurance company for indigent care.
Right. So
Right.
we're not really
Well,
insurance.
double dipping, who's paying?
Well, the county pays them some money each year, a fixed amount. But it's kind of like whatever, we tried to help, they don't want the help, so we don't really need to do this business association agreement, because if they aren't gonna bill our patients, then, it's not that they're not gonna bill
We're
them,
gonna get in trouble is with the government.
they're not gonna, there's no way to get in trouble, it's total.
You're a lawyer, you ought to know better than that.
How do they get in trouble if we're agreeing to pay them for
When you
something?
go against another lawyer, you can get them in trouble.
Huh?
You know what I mean,
What does she mean?
in a court of law.
No,
Well, anyway.
if they send the bill out.
Yeah, so the whole issue is what they're saying, from what I understand is that,
They're receiving money from the county.
county, I don't know what
And
the
they-
arrangement is with the county.
Right.
They'll be receiving money from us.
The county gives them a
That's what
certain
they
amount.
They
That's
said the
what
county
they
will
say.
use that as a reason to reduce it, is generally reduce that payment, saying you don't need.
We
this.
don't know any of this,
That's
I
what
but,
guess
work
the
requires.
county gives them a certain amount for indigent.
Right.
Well, they
Yeah.
can't deny.
well, so at the end of the day though, it doesn't really matter, because their policy is if they send an invoice to anybody, they send 2 invoices, and if the people don't pay, then the EMS eats it anyway. So that was an attempt to help that was kind of, to me, completely disingenuously turned down by the board. And the other, so that's that, so I don't think there's any action that needs to be taken on this. So that basically the EMS turned out our offer of assistance to them. So they must have enough money.
They don't wanna get in trouble.
They're not gonna get in trouble.
So if someone comes to me again,
Just tell them to throw the invoice in the trash.
all right.
Done to smoke,
What?
done to smoke it invoice.
So there's no action needs to be taken on this.
Okay, moving on to number 9, discuss and take action necessary on providing funding to the Winnie Stowell supplies and medical equipment.
So the second part of this, what we told Mr. Fitzgerald was look, if y'all need anything like equipment or whatever, just please let us know. So I talked to Ron and told Ron, if y'all need something, let us know. Because their budget, despite what their board doesn't think they need money, but their budget is pretty tight, okay? They get like $380,000 from the county, and their budget's like $430,000. I mean, and then whatever they get from insurance companies. So what Ron requested was that we would give them, they could use a pallet of water for hurricane season. And he asked that we provide, they need these portable ventilators that they've ordered.
How much are those?
The invoice is,
Oh, is that
Gosh,
right?
Yeah.
according to this, that they're cheap, but how many do they need?
they bought 2 of them,
Okay.
One for each.
one for each
Yeah,
ambulance.
yeah.
And a pallet of water is $500. And I think they've already ordered the ventilators, so we just need to pay them if y'all agree to it. And then provide the water, we can pay them, we'll provide it ourselves.
Well, I did make a motion to provide, funding for the, do I have to say this or just for the ventilators?
For the
and
portable
pallet of
ventilators and a pallet of water.
water? For 2 portable generators and a pallet of
2 portable ventilators.
ventilators. I said ventilators.
Motion made by Sharon to provide the two portable generators and,
Ventilator.
Ventilator.
ventilator, generator. Did I say generator?
That's all right.
Ventilator.
Anyway, Ron was,
In the water. Second by Raul, all in favor? Nays? Ayes have it.
What category is that in? Charge, the budget?
we got the ventilators, what they cost $1,327.
Piece, right,
No, total,
total for two.
yes.
It's just, oh, okay.
Number 10 is discuss and take action on approving engaging an auditor for the 2016 annual audit.
I gave President Merle the audit engagement letter from Durbin and Company. I know they took a long time to get the 14 and 15 audit done, but you really can't blame them for it. We know how much an audit should cost, and Tommy already has the information for the 2016 audit. So he's already been there, he's invented the wheel, and he knows what he's looking for, and he thinks he could have this done by August, end of August. So I would recommend going with Tommy, and I know he has the information because I give it.
Well, if we found somebody else, would they relinquish that information?
I have the information. No, we have
I'm just
the,
saying.
we have the
They
information.
have to start back on from scratch and learn who we are.
Yeah,
I mean,
it would be a nightmare.
Is there a price not to exceed, or is there a dollar amount on that engagement letter?
No, but in talking to Tommy, these audits should be between 17 and 20.
I can do it.
I'm kind of hesitant too, because I'd like to see some kind of number.
Well, based on what we did, what happened last time, I don't see,
End up with oh, this one cost $60,000, not $90,000. No, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
well, we can, the reason why we need to get him that is so he can get started on it.
Well, we're gonna meet probably on the 10th of July, that's
Yeah.
not that far off.
That's the reason why I need it too.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I mean, they
So we need a
go
motion
against
to
me,
table
I
that.
say,
I might make a motion that we table approving an auditor for the 2016 annual audit until we get a figure on how much it's gonna cost.
motion made by Sharon, second by Raul, to table it. All in favor? Nay, ayes have it. Discuss and take action if necessary on the QUIC program and or impact program.
There's nothing to discuss.
Nothing to discuss at this time. Notice the next meeting is when?
So our special meeting will be at our meeting,
Yeah,
is that right? We can have it around the 10th.
Could be.
Around the what?
Yeah. Monday.
Monday?
School board.
My
School
only
board meeting that
hesitancy
night.
there is I'm going out of town next week,
Uh-huh.
and then that's gonna, I'd rather do, if possible, have this first one be a special meeting and then do a regular meeting at the, if that's okay.
the end of the month?
2 weeks from now.
We're gonna need to have a meeting on the 10th, no matter what.
You need one on the 10th, is that what
Or
you
prior to?
Can we set the special meeting for the 26th of July, and then, yeah,
Oh, the regular meeting?
right.
Yeah,
Regular meeting for 26th of July,
that's my
6, regular,
regular meeting on the 26th.
the special.
It's even a week
The
of.
special meeting we got, but we just need some more information before we can set it. So, the bank has the appraisals, and I'm trying to get this final letter from the guy that's writing the attorney opinion. He produced a letter, but I just said, look, I'm sure y'all are right in what you're writing, but I have to understand it. Because this is not to make, we gotta get it like in Hubert speak.
So
So it was July 6th for the special
the
meeting.
next meeting will be July 26th at 6.
I would plan on a special meeting on July 10th,
10th.
if possible.
10.
What's wrong with the 11th? That's school board meeting on the 10th.
The 11th, I don't wanna do it on the 11th because the IGP has to be done on the 12th. And we
We'll do it on the
usually need a
5th.
day.
Do it on the 5th.
Let's do it on the 6th.
That's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
6 o'clock,
No, I would do the
No.
special meeting at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Oh, that'll work.
It won't matter what.
On which date is the special meeting?
The 10th.
Yeah, yeah, it will.
Can you make 9 a.m.?
My argument weakens, that's Commissioner's Court in Walker County. So my argument weakens at 9 in the morning.
I can be here.
Regular meeting,
Close.
July the 26th,
Regular meeting, July 26th.
Special
6
meeting, July
p.m.
10th at night.
6:30.
So in that special meeting, we're gonna need to put on there the audit, the contract, and whatever we need to do with the impact.
9 a.m. on the 10th.
Yes.
See y'all in August.
Motion made by Roll to adjourn, seconded by Jeff, all in favor? Any nays? Ayes have it. We adjourn it at 7:37.
Gonna rain tonight.
Yes.
Come on, Giselle.